Welcome back to the Blue Collar Boxing Podcast. I am Luke from Biloxi. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. Give me a follow on at Blue Collar Boxing on X. Thank you for joining me tonight, and welcome to my official preview and prediction. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford for the undisputed super middleweight world championship to take place live on Netflix September 13th in Las Vegas. We have a lot to get into. We have a lot of varying theories to discuss that are out there on social media. Canelo Alvarez made his debut at super middleweight almost 5 years ago against Callum Smith. He was coming off a knockout victory at light heavyweight where he won the WBO title against Sergey Kovalev. He's been fighting big guys for quite a long time. There's been a lot that's been made on social media from pundits and from just regular content creators like me that Terrence Crawford is actually the bigger man. There's been some pictures out there. There's been some, height comparisons and a lot of things released from the Crawford camp of him looking really swole ahead of a fight week. Make no mistake about it. Uh, Canelo Alvarez is the bigger man. And I mean that in a sense of this is a boxing match. He might even weigh less than Crawford at the weigh in. It doesn't matter. He has settled into 168. Uh, since his November of 2019 knockout of Sergey Kovalev, he has fought at either 175 or 168 the entire 6 years. So, this notion that Crawford is going to be bigger than him, perhaps maybe on the scale, but if Ricky Hatton were to come out of retirement and challenge Canelo Alvarez, well, on the scale, Ricky Hatton's going to be bigger than Canelo at this point. Perhaps that's a poor analogy, but all I'm saying is don't give much credence to the weigh-in. Just because Terrence may be bigger on the scale, he hasn't settled into the weight. Canelo has had more fights at 168 and light heavyweight than Terrence Crawford has had at welterweight. That is a tremendous point when you're talking about picking the winner of this fight. Uh, and Crawford had an amazing run at welterweight: 7 wins, 7 knockouts, undisputed, lineal, etc. All the accolades, and he deserves credit for that. Were some 20 pounds heavier. In that time, since beating Errol Spence to become undisputed, he's fought once in 2 years, one time against Madrimov, a fight where Crawford didn't look all that good. He won. Make no mistake about it. He clearly won the fight. Scores were 115, 113, 116, 112. Weisfeld also had it 115, 113. We'll get back to Weisfeld in a minute because he's also scoring this fight with Canelo. So I thought it was a little wider than that. I think 8-4 was good. 7-5, I couldn't find 5 rounds to give Madrimov. But the point of this analysis, boxing is a what have you done for me lately sport. Okay. And in the most recent appearance, 14 pounds lighter, Terrence Bud Crawford did not look that great. He won. He won a world title at 154, but Madrimov was able to score. He was able to win rounds. He was able to make the fight close. And I fundamentally believe if Madrimov, and I realize they're different fighters, they have different styles. I understand that. But if Madrimov can score on Terrence Crawford, who will be 38 at fight night, so too can Saul Canelo Alvarez. And that is a point lost on a lot of the boxing punditry. I, perhaps that's because they're too into the fact that they're a fan of either man. Perhaps it's an issue with who they work for and who they write for. But I can't get past the Madrimov fight. I just can't. And that was 13 months ago. The last time Terrence Crawford fought before that was Errol Spence. He's fought one time in 2 years. Canelo has consistently fought twice a year for quite a while. He fought twice in 2018, twice or one time in 2019, and in that occasion, he knocked out Sergey Kovalev. He fought twice, once in 2020, and then he fought twice in 21. Excuse me, three times in 21. He fought February 27th in 2021 against Avni Yildirim. I was there. It was at the Hard Rock Stadium in Miami. That was a mandatory defense. I'm not giving him a lot of credit for that win. Yildirim wasn't that challenging, but he had to keep the WBO belt, and so he wanted to fight him. Then he fights Billy Joe Saunders in May, and then in November fights and knocks out Caleb Plant. So November of 2021 was Saul Canelo Alvarez's last knockout. A lot has been made about that. That we're talking about 4 years roughly as we get to fight night with Terrence Crawford. That Canelo Alvarez hasn't knocked anyone out. I want to do a little bit of a deeper dive in that, and one of the reasons is. I I take the position that Canelo has lost a step, but it's been drastically overstated by those in boxing media. He's not done. He may have slowed down a little bit, but he's not done. And we're going to briefly go through his fights. I already went through uh, Terrence Crawford's fights. There's just not that many in recent history. I mean, I'd have to go back 5 years to get five fights. I don't have to do that with Canelo. So he knocks out Caleb Plant November of 2021, and then fights Dimitri Bivol in Las Vegas May Cinco de Mayo weekend 2022. Now, there's been those out there that have said that this was sort of the end of Canelo's prime, that was it. Uh, a cherry pick gone wrong, I've heard. Canelo clearly lost the fight, but he was never in danger of getting knocked out. He was bothered, but he wasn't hurt. There's a difference. And he landed his own shots. Canelo moved up to 175. I mean, let's face it, Canelo's probably naturally a 160 pounder. And Dimitri Bivol has been vastly underrated. The man defended the WBA title like 10 times. He defended the WBA title when HBO was still on the air. I was there in Atlantic City when Dimitri Bivol fought Isaac Chalemba on the undercard of Eliader Alvarez's vicious knockout of Sergey Kovalev at the Hard Rock in Atlantic City. So that was one of HBO's last shows. That was in 2018. He's been a title holder that long, except for a hiatus after he lost to Artur Beterbiev, which is a fight that he avenged. So a lot of people are saying giving Canelo the end of his career because he lost to Dimitri Bivol, the man who's currently or should currently be the undisputed light heavyweight champion. I understand he's been stripped of some belts and et cetera, but he's the lineal light heavyweight champion and was undisputed and was a longtime title holder. I think we give him a pass for that. And if Terrence Crawford is watching tape of Dimitri Bivol's win over Canelo Alvarez, well, I suspect he should do that, but he's not going to be able to hit him that hard. He's not that tall. He's not going to have the punch resistance that Dimitri Bivol has at light heavyweight. It's a poor comparison. Then we move on, and after that, he did a rematch with Golovkin. Guys, look, I realize that was a walkout fight for Golovkin. I'm glad he got paid. Canelo won it. We can relitigate the other fights. The only point from the Golovkin fights that I will make is Golovkin is one of the best power punchers at 160 pounds in the history of the sport. And I don't really recall a time he had Canelo in trouble. He bothered him. He did not hurt him. There's a distinction there. I know Crawford is Superman. I know he looks in fantastic shape. I know he's put on the muscle. He can't hit as hard as Gennady Golovkin. He can't hit as hard as Dmitry Bivol. He's not going to be able to hit as hard as Sergey Kovalev either, even though Kovalev was past his prime at that point. Then we move on to John Ryder. I know a lot of people have given Canelo a lot of flack for this fight. Okay, he dropped him a bunch of times, busted him up. He didn't knock him out. Okay, and then John Ryder went on to get knocked out. Then we have Jaime Munguia, same thing. Canelo dropped him and then admittedly carried him. Then we go on to Edward Berlanga, excuse me, drops Berlanga, carries him to 12 rounds. I get it. I get it. We want knockouts. We're boxing fans. We're greedy. But just because Canelo didn't knock these guys out, that is not evidence of the massive decline that many people are purporting. Okay, there is some decline. It's going to happen. But the sort of the imbalance in the coverage is you see these fights from Canelo and you don't see the criticism of Crawford for the Madrimov fight. You don't see it. He went 7-0 at welterweight, 7 knockouts, then went 12 rounds with Madrimov. Where's the criticism? I don't know that he should be criticized. I'm just saying if you're going to criticize Canelo for not knocking out guys who outweighed him by 10 pounds on fight night or sometimes 20, or at light heavyweight even more, why aren't you criticizing Crawford for not knocking out Madrimov? That's my point there. Then we go to Williams School. The IBF does what they do and stripped Canelo, and School fought for a vacant belt, and then did even more damage to the legacy of the Cuban amateur boxing system and literally ran for 12 rounds to the point where Canelo was just like, "What are you doing, dude?" He was literally diving and jumping away from shots and had the audacity to think that he won that fight, which is ridiculous. So, yes, he didn't drop School. He didn't knock out School. Other than School and Bivol at light heavyweight, excuse me, at super middleweight, Canelo has either knocked out or knocked down every single opponent. Every single opponent. And Terrence Crawford has never even fought at 168. Hasn't even fought at 160. So, one last point before I make my official prediction. You could probably see where I'm going, but I think this point will convince a lot of you to go my way. While Terrence Crawford is an American and Canelo Alvarez represents Mexico, I do think Canelo is an American citizen now. You guys can check me on that, but nevertheless, in Las Vegas at MGM Properties, which T-Mobile Arena is affiliated with them, Canelo's the hometown fighter. He is. Uh, the judges that are judging this fight are going to be, I believe it's Max DeLuca, Steve Weisfeld, and Tim Cheatham. Those are going to be pro Canelo judges. There was a meme out there that Canelo starts this fight 4-0. That might be a little bit extreme, but you're not wrong to think that Canelo wins every swing round. And the swing rounds are going to be the 3 to 4 beginning rounds where guys are feeling each other out. And by the time that Canelo sort of runs out of gas in the 8th, ninth, 10th, that's when I think Terrence is going to take over a little bit, but I think it's going to be too little too late. Um, there's also going to be a massive power disparity. Canelo has been hit by Dmitry Bivol. He's been hit by Sergey Kovalev. He's been hit by Gennady Golovkin in 3 fights. Rarely bothered and certainly not hurt. I don't know that the myth of Terrence Crawford's power carrying up to 168 will sustain itself in the final analysis after the fight. The hometown fighter in Vegas, there's still big fights out there for Canelo. There's still Jake Paul buzz. Say what you want, it's a massive money fight. Vegas Vegas judges, as it's been said, tend to score fights for the future, not the present. Um, I think it's a pretty clear indication of who's going to win this fight. I have Canelo Alvarez, Saul Canelo Alvarez, winning by decision in what could be a controversial decision. And I think Terrence Crawford is going to fight his ass off, but he's going to find A, that Canelo has not declined to the level that is being reported, and B, the weight jump is going to affect him. And the power of Canelo is going to make him think. And if he gets one shot, I'm not saying Canelo is going to knock him out. I'm saying that Canelo is going to hit him hard enough, particularly to the body. It's going to make him hesitate just enough to where Canelo will win more rounds. So this is my official prediction for Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford. Canelo by decision. Give me a like and subscribe, and follow me on at Blue Collar Boxing on X. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's been great talking with you.